we won't just lecture, right? So let's see. What do we talk about? Let's see. So you take one word, consciousness. What is consciousness? Can you tell me what is consciousness?
Awareness.
Awareness.
Of who we actually are, ourselves, or all our souls.
Okay. What is our aim in life? What is our aim? To rise in
consciousness.
To rise in consciousness. Right? Rise in consciousness. I'm sure that would be the aim of why we are together over here. Now, let's try to pinpoint what is consciousness and what is it that takes us to consciousness. Supposing a person is very well read, and he knows a lot, can we say he's conscious?
Intellectual.
He's literate, very literate. A person has a lot of money, he's a very good memory, or maybe he's very famous, maybe the president of a country, right? But still, that has nothing to do with consciousness. So what is consciousness? How do we go about it? This rising to higher levels of consciousness, how do we go?
Meditation. Meditation.
Meditation. Anything else?
Just living truth. Treating others as you'd like to be treated.
No. Pardon?
The higher self.
Is consciousness related to energy? In what way? Which energy? Is consciousness related to energy? Which energy? Now, can we work towards consciousness directly, or do we work towards an energy and consciousness is a byproduct of that? Now, what is the source of all energy?
Cosmos.
The sun?
Oh.
The sun, right? But we eat from the sun, we breathe from the sun. I see you, it's because of the sun. So all our lives are dependent upon the sun. But there's one energy which is related to consciousness and which does not come from the sun, it comes from somewhere else. What shall we call that energy? If that energy increases, consciousness increases. If we lose that energy, with the loss of that energy, we lose consciousness. Okay, we'll take a term which
Prana.
Pardon?
Prana.
Prana. Okay. The source of all prana is the sun. The source of all prana is the sun. So we have to look for some other energy which is not coming from the sun. It's coming from somewhere else. And it is that energy which is going to lead us to consciousness. Right? So, we won't call it prana, but we'll use a term which Jung used, psychic energy. Now, what is psychic energy? What is psychic energy?
Not the material plane.
No, it's a spiritual energy emanating from God.
No,
Ability to see.
let's go slowly. We reach God later.
Ability to see. Ability to see with this third eye.
No, I see you.
Okay, the third eye.
No.
Okay.
So, I see you, and I'm able to register you. I don't know your name, but whatever your name is, I'm able to register. I recognize you.
Okay.
There's something, you come in as an impulse, right? I mean, as an electromagnetic impulse, Science says through the optic nerve and an image is created in the brain. Yoga says that you come in as an electromagnetic pulse, which they call as tanmatra or whatever, and it comes in through the senses and is recreated on the chitta as a vritti. Right? Okay. Now I see you and I recognize you. Will we call that psychic energy? The energy which allows me to recognize. Yeah, I see this. I will recognize this. I won't say the energy to recognize, but the energy which allows me to register. That is before the memory comes into play. I register this and then the memory comes into play that this is a glass. But before the memory has come into play, because everything is happening so fast, I registered. She came in the room, I don't know her, but something registers, right? So that energy which allows me to register, we will call it as psychic energy. What is the source of that energy? Where does that energy come from? It does not come from the sun, which is the source of all other energy. It is this one energy which we want to use to awaken consciousness. It is all dependent on this one energy. Where does it come from?
Prana creator.
Prana
creator.
Okay. Something like that. Let us say that there's one sun outside and there's a sun somewhere within the body-brain system, and the ray of light of that sun which comes out of that sun we call as soul. Right? The ray which that sun it throws out through the eyes and I see you. We call that ray as attention. Right? I'm able to see you because I pay attention. Right? I pay attention. And that ray of light which comes from that sun, we call it as soul. The soul goes out of the eyes to experience life. I pay attention to you. But when I pay attention to you, I need an energy which registers. And it is this energy which registers which is connected with the soul. Attention. The most valuable thing in our lives is our attention. If we want to go back to that inner spirit, the God or whatever, we have only one way to go back, is to follow where the attention came from. Because the dead body is there, but there's no attention. Right? There's no attention. Because the sun is no longer there. The inner sun is gone. This inner sun we call as Gayatri. Now, this ray of light which comes out through the eyes is dependent on this energy which we call as psychic energy. And where do we get that energy from? What happens? What happens? The source is... No, forget the chakras. The source is the inner
soul.
Spirit.
Spirit, okay.
The inner spirit. And how do we get that energy? See, you may go for
By paying attention again.
if I have that energy, I can pay attention.
Okay.
But if I don't have that energy, I wasted all that energy. Right? So I can't pay attention. Now, say, we go for a long vacation somewhere, and we go on this guided tour. So you go to the guided tour, they wake you up, we get up 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock breakfast, 9 o'clock museums, 10 o'clock art gallery, 11 o'clock zoo, 12 o'clock this, right? Okay. Then again next day you go to a new town, again they'll say 9 o'clock art gallery, 10 o'clock museum, 11 o'clock zoo. Then on the third or fourth day all the zoos look the same, all the art galleries look the same. Which energy have we lost? Psychic energy. Nothing is registering inside any longer. And my eyes are open but nothing is registering. This psychic energy is what we need to walk on the spiritual path. It is the most valuable thing. Now, every night when we go to sleep, like the sun sets outside, of course somebody can say the sun never sets, and the sun rises outside. Similarly, there's an inner sunset and there's an inner sunrise. And the soul, who's given its light of attention to all the inner memory patterns, the psyche, and it goes out as attention, it takes all that light back, and we fall into sleep. Today science doesn't know what is happening in deep sleep. We go into deep sleep, the soul, the light of the sun goes back into the sun. It is sunset. It goes back. There's also an inner twilight, right? So that light goes back and the soul rejuvenates in the inner spirit. It rejuvenates, it becomes fresh again. And then in the morning, again, the light slowly comes out, it awakens the psychic nature, comes out, and we say, my eyes are opened, I relate to the world outside. What does it get over there? It gets this very, very valuable energy called psychic energy, which does not come from the sun. We have only one source normally, unless we are practicing something of yoga or pranayama or whatever, right? Normally we have only one source of that energy, and that is sleep. Only one source of energy, sleep. That is, when we go to sleep, in deep sleep the soul goes back into the spirit, takes that energy, comes back, awakens the psychic nature in the morning. Clear? Till here? Right. Now, it's like we are in college and every month we get so much of pocket money. And all the other friends, they are waiting that on this day this guy is going to get his pocket money. Right? And so the minute we get the money order comes, they are all ready waiting for us. Similarly, this very, very valuable energy which we have got from the inner soul, someone wants it. There are some other people who want it. They want to take it away from us. They want to take it away from us. And who wants to take it away from us?
Those that need it.
Huh?
Those that need it.
No, they can't take it. We have only one source to go in and get it.
Yeah.
But the minute we have it, somebody's eye is there on us that I want it. Who is this? Huh?
Nature.
Nature. Nature. Nature wants this energy. Right? Nature, why does nature want this energy? What is she going to do with this energy? She can't get it from the animals, she can't get it from the plant. A plant dies, releases energy. An animal dies, releases energy. She gets different energies from them. This energy does not come from the sun. She knows it's only these guys called humans, this race of animals called humans. They go to sleep. All of them have an individual soul. The animal doesn't have an individual soul, it is a universal soul. So she can't get the energy there. She can only get it from humans. Why does she want that energy? She can get it from the animals and plants. That is when they disconnect from the universal soul at the time of death.
In nature and the cells, we are independent, codependent on each other. Like plants manufacture oxygen, and we release carbon dioxide. So there's definitely a link between them.
Right, but this is a very, very valuable energy which we should not be giving to her, but she wants to steal it from us. She wants to steal it from us. And why does she want to steal it from us? What is she going to do with it? What is she going to do? It's the energy of the inner spirit. The sun is not the inner spirit. Beyond the sun are the galaxies, and the galaxies beyond them is something where the connection ends, we don't know. Right? But here, directly, something has gone in, brought it out right from the supreme source. And she says, oh God, this guy's come, he's struck gold, let me get. So every morning when we wake up, nature is there, waiting to take away that small amount of pocket money which we went into sleep at night and we woke up in the morning with. What does she do? Why does she want it?
Create something.
There are parts in nature is only interested in helping those parts in her where life is still not there and she wants to bring life. Maybe the moon. The moon is still a dead planet, right? But nature may say that I want to bring life on the moon sometime, maybe millions of years later, and for that I need a very specific energy, and that energy can only come from the divine. So I want to steal it from these. Maybe that's why she created this race called humans, so that they would take this energy and give it to her. We don't know. Right? Now, how does she get it from us? How does she get it? How does she get it? Say, I want to go out shopping. And the minute I go to the door, it suddenly starts raining.
It's an emotional thing.
So, right? Something emotional. So it started raining. What do?
Something wrong.
I complain. We are only free of complaining when there's freedom from the I. Right? My teacher used to say that never defend yourself. Never defend yourself. Let your life speak for itself. One of the things is where we lose the energy, like complaining. Another thing is justification. Never put yourself right.
Just is.
Right. Suppose if somebody has said that we complain and you say, I don't, then the lawyer has come.
Same thing.
You're arguing in the court. We don't argue in the court. That's the point where we work with our ego. Because the ego is saying, I don't complain. Observe it, drop it. Otherwise, you give the energy to nature. In that very reaction, we have given the energy to nature. It's something which we have to practice the whole day. It's not something which we can intellectually understand. It's something we have to practice. So first thing is never justify. Never justify. And whenever the inner ego wants to justify, say, I am right, I did not do this, this is not me, I am not like this. Just pause over there. I'm coming to that. I'm coming to how to do it. Just pause over there. Observe it. Let it drop. You will climb one step at a time.
Lost outcome anyway.
Huh?
Lost outcome.
It's because the I is hidden. It only comes out in a reaction. It takes years of observation to feel it. No amount of meditation can work, nothing can work. It's only normal daily living, because in meditation there are no reactions.
Growing of the spirit, understanding.
Normal relationships. Right? So, nature wants to take this energy, and the only way she can take it from us is if we react. If we react. The minute we react, we have given this energy to her. And for that, she is going to create situations. Now, don't say that she has created the situation. Somewhere we have asked for that situation. But those situations come in front of us. I say, okay, I'm sitting in meditation, everything is okay, I'm not reacting, and suddenly a phone comes from school. Oh, your son has fallen down and he's bleeding and this and that. Meditation. Right? I react. The minute I react, I'm hypnotized to life. I'm hypnotized to the event has hypnotized me. I lose consciousness. So in that giving of energy, I lose consciousness. Now at that moment, if I can pause, just pause a little, then there's this reaction within me, but I'm I'm just trying to stay a little away from the reaction. We'll go into that a little. Then what happens? Then I don't give nature the energy. I rise in consciousness, and because I rise in consciousness, it is always followed by psychic energy. I steal a little energy from nature. This is all that the spiritual game is about. Either nature takes it or we take it. If we take it, we rise, and if we give it to her, we fall. That's all it's about. And this game starts every morning. Unluckily, by about 2 or 3 in the afternoon, we don't have any psychic energy left. She's taken it all. She's taken it all. And when we go to sleep again we get it, again we give it to her. We are just machines fulfilling her purpose. Now, if we can steal a little by little from nature, and by the end of the day, there is a balance left over, that we don't go to sleep with no psychic energy, we go with some balance. The business is in profit. Right? The business is in profit. So something is carried forward to the next day. What will happen?
We'll be stronger and more peaceful.
First thing, what will change? The first thing which will change in our lives, totally change.
The awareness.
No. Awareness will change, no doubt about it, but we are going to sleep. What will change?
Type of sleep. Type of sleep.
The quality of sleep. The quality of sleep. Because now we are going with some credit balance. Before that we were going bankrupt. We used to go to sleep every night. We go to sleep bankrupt. We go with some credit balance that penetrates into our sleep. The quality of sleep changes. It is only when the quality of sleep changes can the quality of death change. Till then it cannot change. Because death and sleep are related. Afterlife and dreams are related. Now, we'll go into some sutras of Patanjali. You've heard of Patanjali, I'm sure. I think Alice Bailey has also written about him, A Night on the Soul, and William Judge has also written a translation. So we'll take one sutra of Patanjali. He says, Vyuthana Nirodha Sanskara Abhibhav Pradurbhava Nirodha Kshana Chitta Anvyaha Nirodha Parinam. We take the translation. We take Alice Bailey's translation. The mind reacts to that which is seen or heard, then follows a moment of mind control, then ensures a moment wherein the chitta, the mind stuff, responds to both these factors. Finally, these pass away and the perceiving consciousness has full sway.
Would you read it again, please?
Yeah. The mind reacts to that which is seen or heard. Then follows a moment of mind control. Then ensures a moment wherein the chitta, she's translated the word chitta as mind stuff, responds to both these factors. Which factors? The reaction and the control of the reaction. Now there's something third which is responding to both these factors. Right? This third is the beginning of consciousness. Right? finally these pass away. What passes away? The reaction and the control of the reaction. And what remains is just the perceiving consciousness. From that small moment of life, we have not gone to any ashram, we have not practiced any meditation, just our normal living with our husband, wife, friends, daughter, son, colleagues, businessmen, driving on the car coming in the way, we getting angry, reaction, wherever. It's just this normal life of ours. From that we have stolen a moment of consciousness from nature. This is what she's talking about. How do we do this? I hope you're interested in it.
A consciousness without awareness.
What?
Consciousness without awareness is insignificant.
No. Unless we are
They
aware.
become conscious of it, but the awareness has to be there as well.
The fact that we are talking is that we are creating an awareness. The fact that we are talking is we create an awareness. That awareness leads us to practice. Right? That practice leads to greater levels of awareness. And at one moment in the practice, that very awareness leads to a moment of freedom, which is consciousness. Right? That consciousness sees even the awareness. Or it is through the eyes of awareness that we reach to consciousness. Yes, sir.
When you're living in the fires of samsara, do you think about consciousness in a biased way? And when you're out of the fires of samsara and you're following the Eightfold Noble Path, you think about consciousness in a more orderly and healthy way.
The fires of what?
Samsara.
Sansara. Right, so we are talking about the fire of samsara.
Yes, I'm talking about fires of samsara.
Sansara. Right. I've come home. In the morning when I left home, I had not cleaned my room properly. And my wife is waiting there very angry. Right? And when I come home, she's going to give it to me properly. And I can't take it, I'm very tired. And I'm wondering why she's doing this. And the fire of samsara has started. And now what do we do in this? How are we going to extract that consciousness?
My question was, my question was, do you think about consciousness in a biased way when you're living in the fires of samsara, as opposed to thinking about it in a logical way when you are following the Eightfold Noble Path?
Sir, whatever I think is not going to lead me to consciousness. It is only when I move beyond the logical mind, when I'm willing to drop the logical mind, will I get a taste of consciousness. It is only that which observes the logical mind, which observes the thought.
So you don't differentiate between healthy consciousness and sick consciousness. It's all intermixed with you.
Consciousness can never be sick. Consciousness can never be sick. Consciousness can be hypnotized.
When you use words like stealing and so on, then you are bordering on the realms of sickness.
No. I'm just giving it to you in a way in which we can understand it easily.
It's like we're dropping logic and say, looking on the more spiritual side. Can't we? We actually can't even reason it. Yeah, it's from the inner.
Get out of our own way, you see.
Can we move beyond reason?
Strengthening our souls and quietening our minds.
Just give you a way where in every day in your normal life, you start extracting consciousness drop by drop, morning to evening. The very, increase of consciousness brings order in the thoughts automatically. And however much we try to order our thoughts through personality development or without consciousness, it is useless. minute the consciousness rises, thoughts fall into order automatically. There's no need to start thinking in this way or in that way. In the end, do you want to go beyond thinking or not? That is what I'm trying to tell you. It is only in these reactions where the river is in full flood that we can extract the real electricity of life.
Excuse me, I think what he's trying to say, and what I'm sort of interpret what he says, is does evil have consciousness?
Does?
Evil have consciousness?
Consciousness.
Does it only belong to the realm of the white light, or does it also belong to the realm of evil? Evil itself also might have a consciousness.
What is consciousness? Is it something which is whole?
Something which is?
Whole, which leads to wholeness, to totality. And if it is totality, then it will have both the good and the bad. It is that which does not judge the good or the bad, where both the good and the bad dissolve into it. Right? So if you're talking about consciousness, then we're talking about wholeness, we're talking about totality.
Evil and good.
There is no discrimination. The real discrimination is that do I want to rise in consciousness or fall in consciousness? If I fall, it is evil. And if I rise, that's it.
There is a lower consciousness and a higher consciousness.
That is what I'm trying to say. It's a ladder. It's a ladder.
But it can be low consciousness of
Ladder has lower rungs and a ladder has higher rungs.
It's actually quite an interesting.
Why do you connect lower and higher with negative and positive polarities?
Where does it go?
You connect the concept of higher and lower with negative and positive polarity. The idea of lower being perhaps connected with evil and higher connected with less evil. You use the term a ladder. From a logical point of view, somehow it seems to be not fully explained.
I can't reason it out and they say, yes, that's the way it is, because there is no place for reasoning. And I think it's just a metaphor you're using, the ladder. And as you go up, I said to you just now, I said it's the difference between light and darkness.
Yes.
Ignorance and awakening. Rather than light and darkness, just put the sleep and awakening. You fall into deeper levels of hypnosis of life. And you awaken from that. One day you want to awaken to this dream. Is that our aim? Do we really want to awaken? Or do we want to make a more comfortable dream?
Excuse me, I don't know what this man's name is, but anyway, the things that also, there are things like black magic and white magic. And I'm thinking also the practice in India too of the black magic and the white magic, both extremely powerful forces. And not always the white magic can overcome the black magic, which means that there must be some sort of devious and forces which are working, which are extremely powerful. I mean, what you're teaching here and which is beautiful is the fact that you're teaching awareness of a white light, of awareness in a good way. But it doesn't negate, and the thing that what seems to be interesting to this man is to be the power of the evil forces and the power of the negative, what you call, inverted commas, negative forces. That's what I understand by what he's asking. And he's having a conflict of this, of the evil and the good in him. And why, and the power of the evil and the power of the good. And you're telling us and helping us with a good thing, but it doesn't satisfy his needs to be able to cope with this power of the not so good energy. That's how I understand his question. I don't know if I've understood, maybe I misunderstood. But that's what I feel when he's asking.
Right. What you're trying to tell me, at a certain level there is conflict between what you say as good and what you say as evil.
You don't actually see it, it's what is.
What you
It's
feel.
evil or good, but it's outcome, because everything is like an energy, so you don't
I'm trying
actually
to
see
see
the
it.
energy, but you see the outcome of it. And the outcome of it is actually evil. So it's a conflict, because a lot of people who are more basic and haven't really developed, they're very occupied with their evil powers. And so I think it's also ability to be able to overcome and to bring the balance back, to be able to see, as you say, the whole, and see the good and see the evil, and to develop and to strengthen the good.
Madam, the good and the evil are both a part of the hypnosis of life.
That's right.
And I'm trying to tell you that you wake up from this hypnosis, where you see both the good and evil as something you moved away from. You've gone beyond it. That is what I'm trying to tell you. Yeah. So I'm showing you a small technique to work in your daily life, where you don't have to do anything, because there are enough of reactions in our daily life from which we can extract consciousness. You get what I'm trying to say? So it has nothing to do with this conflict or with good or evil. I'm trying to tell you that you rise above this conflict. And that is why we are here. We are not here to give petrol to the good and take away the petrol from the evil. It's not possible. There's one state. There's a state which is beyond both good and evil.
You would not
And that is awakening.
You would not be able to discern if you did not have both of those forces. It teaches you to discern.
See, everything in life follows the law of two. Today I'm happy, tomorrow I'll be sad. One moment I'm happy, next moment I could be sad. Right? So everything in life follows this law of two. If there's winter, there has to be summer. It follows this law. There's something where there's freedom from the law. And that is awakening. When you awaken, you play the law, but you are not a victim of the law. And presently, we are victims of the law. And the more we become victims of the law, the more laws start, creating more slavery for us. I'm just giving you a small technique. Do you want to use this in your daily life and wake up? And this technique is this technique of pause, to stop. So in all reactions, if we can come to a state of pausing, just stopping. So it could be any reaction. I may have a fight with my son. My son may not be sitting down to study. I'm getting irritated. Now these two things are clashing. Now in that irritation, I am losing psychic energy and falling in consciousness. This is all I'm talking about. No, I'm not talking about any big words or any big thing, just small daily living, ordinary daily living. Yeah. Now, in that irritation, is there a way to be free of that irritation? At that moment, that very moment, not something we read about in a book. When we work on it at that moment, be free of it, rise above it, experience a moment of rising in consciousness, be elevated, and move on. One more drop in the ocean. So, what do? When we were children, we used to play a game, statue. There's the best yoga is statue. Somebody gets angry, you say statue, stop. Stop. That's the best game, statue. Okay, statue. But statue inside, here, not of the body. Statue inside, yes. This monkey inside, he chatters all the time. It's a lifetime of hard work to calm this mode. It can't be done by reading, and we have to work on it. Now, this son of mine is not sitting to study. I am irritated. The monkey is going buck, 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 blah, blah, blah. Now, this is the situation. This is the situation. So, what is she saying? The mind reacts to that which is seen or heard. He is not sitting down. The mind has reacted. The monkey is chattering very loudly, very fast. Everything is moving fast with it. And suddenly there is an awareness that I want to get out of this situation. This is the beginning of awareness. I want to get out of this situation. Is there a way out of this? So I pause. First thing I do is I don't throw the reaction out on my son. That is the first step. I don't throw it out on him. There's a pause. Then follows a moment of mind control. Then follows a moment of mind control. This is Alice really speaking. I'm not speaking. Right? Now, I've controlled it, but now what is happening? That anger is pulling me and I am pulling that anger. And sometimes it's going to be more powerful and it's going to pull me, and at times I'll be able to hold it. And I don't want to suppress it also. I don't want to suppress it also. But the very fact that awareness has come, that I'm doing this consciously, is the beginning of freedom. So what do I do? What technique would I use? When we play statue, we say statue of the body, statue of the thought. Say the last thought was, I am irritated. It is at that time that the awareness came. Suddenly I realized that I am in a state of irritation. I hold that last thought. Many other thoughts will come. If I don't tell him today, he'll repeat the same thing tomorrow. His exams are after 10 days. He has not studied for them. He'll get bad marks. I've been paying so many fees for his college and this and that, and all those thoughts. The whole army of thoughts will come. I hold the last thought. I am irritated. I don't allow the other thoughts to upset me. Just that one thought which I became aware, I try to hold on, that statue in the mind. This my teacher called as pause. What is Patanjali saying? Vyuthana nirodha sanskara pradurbhav abhyuta. Vyuthana means fragmentation. Vyuthana means hypnosis. Till now, the inner sanskara was of hypnosis, fragmentation. Right? Everything small in life, I would react to it. Like you're listening to me, but the inner monkey keeps reacting. This is right, this is wrong, you should have said this. The inner monkey keeps on. So we are really not listening. Right? So I want to be free of this sanskar, this pattern inside, this memory pattern of reaction. So what is Patanjali saying? Vyuthana sanskara pradurbhav. It is going down. Nirodha, the sanskar to hold. Abhibhav, what she calls as mind control. Abhibhav, has suddenly been born a new pattern inside to control. And I control and I hold my irritation there. There was this great Chinese sage, his name was Leotaju. One day he went fishing and he threw the gill, the hook. The fish came and he waited. He saw the fish, he had taken it. He said, I'll wait some time. The fish took the worm and went away. So he said, too slow. Next time he again put the worm, again fish came, he pulled immediately. Again the fish took the worm and went away. The third time he pulled. And the fish came and the fish pulled, and he pulled exactly the same amount which the fish pulled. And the fish pulled again and he pulled exactly the same amount, not harder, not less. And at the right time the fish was God. He came to his disciples. He said, today I have learned a big lesson in life. Whenever any negative reaction pulls, only pull in that amount in which it pulls you. The irritation is pulling me, so I just pull a little. If I pull more, I'm going to suppress it. I don't want to suppress it, I don't want to express it. This pulling will go on for some time. It's a long process. But as we practice, the pulling will go on for some time. At one point, what does she say? Then ensures a moment where the mind stuff responds to both these factors. Now the inner observing capacity is saying, okay, this is pulling a little more, let me pull a little. It is responding to both the factors. Now we are not reacting, we are responding. At one point in time, both of these will go away. What will go away? The reaction and the control of the reaction. And then she says, the perceiving consciousness has full sway. We have risen in consciousness. And this can be done morning to evening because we react all the time. There's no need to sit in meditation because there's enough of raw material in the whole day for our factory to work. Come home, there's a reaction. You stop the car and the traffic, there's a reaction. The weather, there's a reaction. The government, there's a reaction. Enough of raw material. And as we practice this, we start rising in consciousness. The thing is to statue inside. Hold the last thought. Wait. At one point, everything will go away. And just the person who is observing, the person who is looking inside, that light of observation will remain. What was being observed will go away. Just that pure observation. This is the state of awakening, moksha, freedom. Do we want it? Or do we want to just spend our lives discussing about it?
Excuse me, I just want to say thank you very much. I really enjoyed it, but I've come to the wrong place, but in the right place, let's say. I was actually looking for suite 315. So, but I really enjoyed your lecture, so I just wanted to say thank you very much.
Good, thank you.
And I hope that everybody has a wonderful enlightenment. Do you have any idea what suite 315 is? It's the spiritual church.
No, I only know about now.
And I must say that it's been very interesting. Thank you, and so excuse me as I disturbed you. And when I say that the Chinese Taoist way of thinking of the human is that between heaven and earth, they actually make the junction between the two. So it's a different way of explaining the way to Thank you.
So we have not stopped our thoughts. We have just held on to the last thought and not allowing any other thought to hypnotize us or pull us away. It will take some time. Initially we'll be caught up in the thoughts. Again we'll get angry. Again we'll come back. A point will come when we'll be able to do this. Then he says, see, the roadways in the brain have to change. And our brain is mapped out. Everything is happening so automatically that everything just follows a fixed path in the brain. And as we practice this, the old paths will close and new pathways will open up, which are free of reaction. Now the next thing he says is Tasya prashant vahita sanskar prat. Then this new sanskar of pausing becomes so habitual, not habit as in loss of consciousness, but habit to help us as a stepping stone to consciousness, becomes so habitual that it flows like a prashant. Vahita means flow. It flows like a very calm river. That is, in every reaction in life, we automatically now pause and And slowly this new habit of pausing, initially the habit was of reaction. Right? Now comes a new habit, the habit of pause. Then he says, Tata Puna Shanta Udito Tulya Pratyaya. Then the same thing can happen again in our lives. The same reaction is coming, but now we see that it is coming, but immediately we have paused it, and both the pause and the reaction, initially the pause was either more or less, both are immediately they become equal, they drop immediately, we don't even have to wait, and every moment the perceiving consciousness increases. This if we can do, then slowly over a period of time, we will extract consciousness from every moment of our lives. Then we don't have to meditate or sit in meditation, because every moment is an awakening of consciousness. And at one point in time, there will be nothing left which can create a reaction. You realize that all the reactions were lying within us from the beginning. That he hit me on the road and I got angry. He did not hit me on the road. The anger was already lying within. It was just an excuse for the anger to come from the unconscious to the conscious. If I reacted, the anger increased, the pattern became more powerful. I did not react. Slowly the pattern became weak, and then a new pattern of pausing, and then finally there is nothing left which can create a reaction. This is freedom. And we can work towards this freedom every moment of our lives. Anything you would like to ask, you can ask.
It's so simple, it's unbelievable.
Huh?
It's so simple, it's ridiculous.
Truth is always simple. It's only the ego which is complicated. Truth is always simple. But we can't take simplicity. We need complications. Otherwise it doesn't satisfy us. So we want new definitions and this and that and all that. It is after, you see, they wrote all the complexities after seeing the truth. And we read all the complexities before seeing the truth. Maybe she wrote the secret doctrine or whatever, but it was after seeing the truth. Or whether it was just a play. For us it becomes a baggage. Right? So, that's the problem. After seeing the truth, then we create our own doctrine. We don't really. And then we understand what the other people have written. But it's very simple, very, very simple. Just practice this. Maybe some other time we can talk about something else. Like I was telling him, this is after 5 years I talked to the Theosophical Society. Last time was in Sydney. 2 lectures I had there. Yeah.
Maybe I can ask you to just elaborate a little bit about the concept of samadhi, more advanced form of consciousness, samadhi.
See, in daily living there is freedom, moksha. In practice there is samadhi. Now, let us take one sutra of Patanjali. So we'll go through all the samadhis one by one. What he means by samadhi. Vitarka, vichara, ananda, asmita, anugamata, sampragnat. These are the lower forms of samadhi which Patanjali talks about. Vitarka, logic and non-logic. Vichara, thought. Ananda, happiness. Asmita, I. Right? We talk about the first one. What what is the difference between thought and language?
Thought is universal and language is expressing people understanding of language.
Do we think or do we chatter? We don't think. We don't even know what thought is. We don't even know what thought is. We don't even know that thought can be freed from memory. We always think from memory. Not one thought do we have which is free of memory. That we can develop a new way of thinking where we are free from the slavery of memory. Every moment in our lives is nothing but memory. Now here Patanjali is saying that when you move in towards that samadhi, when you take your attention in and you're moving inside, you start seeing different layers of the mind. And the first layer he calls as vitarka. Tarka means logic. Vitarka means the opposite of logic, contrary logic. You argue something, I argue something in return. Right? Tarka vitarka, he calls this. Can we reach a state where we are free of this? The word argument, of course, comes from the word argentum. Argentum means silver, right? And the word argument actually meant polishing the silver. Now all it does is it clouds the silver more. That was the original meaning of the word argument. Argue means to polish the silver. Silver means truth. So, tarka vitarka. I say, okay, I teach you this today. Say, what is this? So many people have taught me. Whenever anybody talks, we always take the opposite stance. A conversation is like a piece of art, a painting. If I take the opposite stance, it stops over there. Even if that person is saying an untruth, so what? I can just move with him. And in that conversation, I can make a beautiful artwork, a painting like it.
Interacting is transacting. Interacting is transacting.
So Patanjali is saying that there is a point when we are free of this tarka vitarka. This is the top layer of the mind, the inner chatter. I go to a shop and the shopkeeper, for something which is 5 rupees, he charges me 10 rupees. I don't know, I come back home, my wife says, well, this time you would have got for 5 rupees. Now this chatter starts inside. Right? And this is tarka vitarka. This is the top layer of the mind which is always in language. Always in language. And as we move into meditation, we calm that language. And this layer of the mind which is language, when it calms down, he calls this the first samadhi. And there are people who can go into this momentarily and they become great statesmen, great judges, because momentarily this chatter stops and something from beyond the chatter comes in.
Clarity.
But still it is not consciousness. Consciousness is that which observes this. Try to understand, this is not consciousness. He is talking about a specific path, the path of samadhi. Now the next layer of the mind he calls as vichar, thought. And thought will be nearly universal. Even now the thought goes on within us, but we can't see the thought because there is a chatter above the thought. We don't even know that there is a whole layer of thought moving within us. It is only when the chatter calms down in sleep and we see the dreams, we know that the chatter has calmed down. But this layer of thought goes on. Something goes into the making of that chatter. There's something before the language was created, there was something which was called thought. It was a symbol, it was a picture, it was something like that. And this will be nearly universal. Nearly universal. If I'm saying that how much time do I have to say this, you'll say, okay, you can speak for an hour. But before I put that thought into words, there was a symbol below which was trying to, picturize or trying to put into that idea of time which I wanted to put into words. And that could have been in the form of a snake representation of time, or it could be in the form of something else, right? So that will be universal, whether a person living in a village who has no education has a thought of time, and I also have a thought of time. I'll put it in my language, he'll put it in his language. But before that, the symbol which went into making of that language will be nearly universal. I won't say completely universal because there are racial characteristics, but it will be nearly universal. And the minute this language calms down, we start seeing our thoughts. Language is moving at 16 thoughts per second. That is, our monkey is chattering 16 times a second. The minute that calms down, we come to a stream of thought which is moving at a speed of 120%. It is one overlapping the other. And we observe that over a period, a long period of time. A long period of time. And slowly the thought starts slowing down. So we have achieved the first samadhi where the chatter stopped. The second samadhi is when the thought slows down. It is like a train slowing down. Initially the train was very fast, so I couldn't see the other platform. And now the train has slowed down, and suddenly through the window I can see the other platform. And that is the second samadhi, which he calls as vichara. And the minute I see that, I have something called anand, happiness. My perception has gone from this boundary to that boundary, this shore to that shore for the first time. Our whole lives, our perception does not go into that shore. And now the thoughts have slowed down, and we have moved from this bank to the other bank. And that is anand. Then a point comes, and I ask myself the question, who is feeling this anand? Who is it that is feeling happy when these thoughts slow down and I am able to go into that emptiness beyond thought? Who is it that is feeling this inside of me? And I come to something called asmita. That is the third samadhi, that I have gone even beyond happiness. It is called anand. That is the third samadhi. And asmita, I say I. But this I is not the ego. This I is light. It is this I is the seed which creates the whole samsara. It is this I in which all the patterns, the sanskaras are lying. And I suddenly start observing that which, the roots which form the thought, which went into the making of the thought. The ideas behind the thought. I move from the words to the thinking which are emotional. I freed myself from them, I had anand, happiness, and now I'm in a place in my deep subconscious, deep unconscious, where I say, okay, these were the seeds which created the thought. Patanjali calls them as kleshas. When I start working on them, one day it is that I which has been born out of these seeds. I free myself from that, and he calls this the fourth samadhi. Vitarka, Vichara, Ananda, Asmita. These four are the lower samadhis, he says. And then he goes beyond into samadhi with seed and samadhi without seed. These are the different samadhis. Where are we? If the monkey is still chattering inside all the time, then we still there. We still have to work there. And just remember, consciousness is that which observes the samadhi. It is just watching, and nothing else but watching. There is no knowledge over that. It is just pure being. So these samadhis are possible. Even if you practice what I told you, you will go through all these samadhis. But it can be, you can sit in meditation and move from layer to layer to layer, taking your attention inside. When we move inside, the first thing which we will see is we can't see anything. And this is the problem. And there is a kind of what they call a veil, as if some force in nature or God didn't want man to see inside. Right? And we have to move through that, and that is like mist, fog. And that fog, in theosophy, we all call it as the etheric body. But to work on that fog, we must observe our moods. And our moods keep changing. It is just this fog changing inside, this inner weather changing, from fog to rain to this. So if we can observe our moods and be free of our moods, then our attention, which was held, could not go inside because of this curtain inside, this curtain of mist, this curtain of fog. Because we have worked with our moods, our attention will move beyond, and we'll be able to then observe our own inner chatter. This etheric body is there. It is the veil, the curtain, which will not allow us to go in. And it's being created for a purpose. My teacher used to call it the ring pass down, minor ring pass down. So every time we look in, we sit in meditation, we don't see anything because that curtain is always there. The idea is that our very superficial level of reaction is our moods. I'm in a good mood today, I may go on a hill station for a holiday, but if I'm in a bad mood, then nothing is good. Right? And I may be in the worst place, but if I'm in a good mood, then everything is good. And these moods are just like rooms in our psychic structure. Like I have one room in my house which is dirty and I feel bad in that room, and one room in my house which is good and clean and I feel good in that room. So I just have to move from one room to another room inside of me. And the day I'm free of moods, I'll be able to move one step inside on my path of meditation. Do both things simultaneously. Sit in meditation, move in daily living, we'll start working on moods. Then start working on the inner chatter. That is reactions. We should stop it. Be free of reaction. Move again. Shall we stop here? Right. Thank you. Maybe in the whole of history, where we have historical figures, the most successful of all masters maybe was Gautam Buddha. The amount of his disciples, the number when he was not only when he was living, but later on who went on to experience the truth. Maybe no other master was so successful. So on this day he was enlightened. It is said that he left his wife and child born in a palace And in those days there was not the normal astrology which we see today. ये जमाना में जे एस्ट्रोलॉजी હતું એ 32 ગ્રહ 32 planets, astrology of 32 planets. અને when he was born, the astrologers, they saw that any other 32 એ 32 લક્ષણ, all 32 planets had their marks in him. And they proclaimed that he has to be a king, but king of the outer world or king of the inner world. And he went through a number of experiences, which everyone knows, and he left his home, he left a young child. And it is said that for 6 years, 6 varas sudhi, he went from guru to guru, master to master, learning everything that was possible in those days to be learned about the different forms of yoga, meditation. And then he became disillusioned. He didn't get what he was searching for. And he was not searching for truth, he was searching for freedom from suffering, whether it is possible to be free from suffering. And he got this disillusion that after 6 years of intense, કેટલા ગુરુઓ પાસેથી અનુભવ લેતા લેતા 6 વર્ષે નિરાશા આવી કે આનો કોઈ અંત છે, પીડાનો કોઈ અંત છે? Is there an end to suffering? And it is said that he started doing things himself. And he would take one emotion and he would work on that emotion. If it was an emotion of fear, then he would go into the deepest recesses of the jungle and he would work on fear. And it would be totally dark in those parts of the forest. For us, for any one of us, it would be enough to make our hair stand. I mean, we would feel really frightened. Every andhkar in jungle na ke bhai upar એને વિજય મેળવવું છે, to overcome fear. And he would remain there, and it is not that he did not feel frightened. Panic would engulf his mind. He would be totally engulfed by panic. But he would sit there without moving, not even moving a little. Even when the leaves used to rustle, પાંદડાનો અવાજ આવે, he would feel that demons are coming, asuro આવે, ghosts are coming. But he did not move from there. It is said that a peacock once broke a twig and he thought a python had come to eat him up. And he overcame fear. But when he overcame fear, he realized that this is not the end of suffering. Suffering does not end by overcoming fear. So ભયથી તો એમને વિજય મેળવી લીધો, પીડાનો અંત ન થયો. Then he started fasting. And it is said that he fasted and fasted, and his whole body had become very, very thin. The bones could be seen. And that night, he decided to cross this river. The name of the river was Niranjana River, in Nadi Park. It was raining very heavily, very, very heavily. And the river was in flood. And when he was standing on this side, he realized that he may or may not reach the other shore. Now, Marsik anyway, but he was disillusioned. So he said that, let me do it, let me jump in. And when he jumped into the river took him. And he gave up all hope. There was no way to save himself. So he gave up all hope and said that now death has come, let's go. And he started entering into a deep, dark, empty space. And then one creeper came in his hand, the story goes. And he was wearing one cloth, that cloth was taken away by the river. And he caught this creeper. एक वेल हाथ में आई, कपड़ा तो ले गया नदी, एक च कपड़ो. And he caught this creeper and he pulled himself to the other shore. And when he reached the other shore, he was totally, he fainted there, he was so weak, months of fasting, his body had become very weak. And the sun was setting and the moon was just rising at that time. It was this full moon night. And the chief of the village over there, he had a young daughter. Her name was Sujata. So he tells her that you take this offering of milk and some sweets to the temple and offer it to the god in the temple. So she's taking that those thali, tray of sweets to offer to the Lord in the temple, and she sees this naked man on the shores of the river, fainted. She wakes him up, puts some milk in his mouth, and he gets up and looks at her. And it is said that later on she became his first woman disciple. And she then, those sweets which were to be offered to the god, she offers to him. She says, I see the God in you. There was one young boy over there. He made a small grass mat and made him sit on that mat. And it was under this Bodhi tree. And then they go away and he's sitting there alone. And his mind goes back to the time he had left the palace. The moon is rising in the sky, and he comes back to that original scene where he leaves his wife and child, and he's wondering whether it's worth it, all this effort he has made. And then slowly things start coming out of his subconscious mind, coming into the conscious. He's observing her. And slowly the mind empties completely. He's sitting under this tree. And the past 6 years go, in front of him. And all the thoughts slowly, they empty out. And the moon is just about to rise in the sky, the sun. Early morning, twilight. He opens his eyes, and the last star, which could be seen, slowly it vanishes. And as that star vanishes, he suddenly dies inside. As Gautam, he dies. And as Buddha, he is reborn. So, this was that awakening, and it happened today. So, maybe what does Buddha mean to us in our lives? What could it mean? So I thought today, being Buddha's Day, we'll talk about Krishna a little today. What does Krishna mean to us in our lives? Is Krishna somebody who was born and died? Or is Krishna a level of consciousness which we want to move towards? So, let us see the symbology of Krishna today, being Buddha Purnima. I hope that lady has not come in the morning. If she has come, then I have to talk on mantra yoga. But she's not she's not. Okay. And there's one lady whose question it was, she's out of town, so she'll come tomorrow. So today we talk on Krishna. Tomorrow we take mantra yoga, and day after we take Gayatri mantra. So our aim in life is to rise to a level which we call as Krishna. That is our aim. આપણું લક્ષ્ય, જીવનનું લક્ષ્ય કે એક સ્થિતિ છે જેને આપણે કૃષ્ણ કહીએ છીએ અને એ સ્થિતિમાં આપણે મર્જ થવું છે, એ સ્થિતિમાં લીન થવું છે. So we take our attention, which is flowing outside through the five senses, and we start taking that attention within, to the divine center within. For this, the five senses, the mind, the buddhi, and the aham, 5 plus 3, they make 8. 8 is Prakriti, symbol of Prakriti, Ashtada Prakriti, 8 formed Prakriti. And this 8 formed Prakriti is where in what we are trapped. We are trapped in this 8 form. This is our jail, the 8 form Prakriti. And when we are free of this jail, the doors are going to open automatically. Right? So Krishna is the 8th child of Devaki, Atmadeva of Devaki. Devaki means one who plays with the gods. So this Ashtada Prakriti, our attention is trapped in Prakriti, in things, we have gone through this, physical things, in relationships, in thoughts, in ideas, our attention is trapped. And that attention has come from a divine center within us, and we want to take that attention back. For that we have to free it from it. So Patanjali uses 2 words, Abhyas and Vairagya. Now even Krishna in the Gita uses 2 words, Abhyas and Vairagya. Abhyas is making an effort to take the attention within. That is Abhyas. Vairagya is trying to detach from that which pulls the attention outside. અંદરની સ્થિતિમાં આપણું ધ્યાનને એકાગ્ર કરવું, કેન્દ્રિત કરવું, એનું નામ અભ્યાસ. અને જે વિષયો આપણા ધ્યાનને બહાર ખેંચી જતું હોય એને ડ્રોપ કરવું, એનું નામ વૈરાગ્ય. અભ્યાસ and વૈરાગ્ય. So અભ્યાસ is the continuous effort to take our attention inside. So our first step is to free attention. So how do we free it? We just sit down and see where all is my attention trapped. It is trapped in things, it is trapped in what we call as wealth or money, right? It is trapped in people, my friends, my family, this, and it is trapped in ideas. So we just watch it. It's not possible to be free overnight. I વખત જોઈ લીધું કે આ જગ્યાએ મારો જીવ ચોટેલો છે. અને એ જીવને મારે ઉખાડવો છે ત્યાંથી. Now, the second thing is that Krishna was born out of a lot of suffering. Even Ram had to go through suffering of the Sita Haran by Ram. Even Devaki had to go through a lot of suffering because 6 children were killed by her brother Kansa. Suffering is voluntary suffering. So Krishna was born from voluntary suffering. Right? After a great deal of suffering he was born. He was not born as the first child. So if we want to move towards the inner Krishna, the first thing is that make all suffering in life from involuntary to voluntary. Don't look for suffering. See, the day Buddha got freed, the first thing he did, he went to his friends. Some friends were on the journey with him. He had left them for a few months. And they were his first disciples. And in the deer park at Sarnath, near Banaras, he gave his first sermon. Of course, he never returned to Sarnath throughout his life. We don't know why. But he never returned. Maybe the mosquitoes bit him. And the first sermon was that there is suffering. There is a cause of suffering. That cause can be known and removed. If the cause is removed, pain which is yet to come, suffering which is yet to come will not. This was his first sermon. There is suffering, there is a cause for suffering, that cause can be known and removed. If that is removed, it can be pain which is yet to come, can be avoided. Dukha, Hana Upaya, Hana Upaya, Hayam Dukham Anagatam. Pain which is yet to come will not come. Similarly, in our lives, if we want to reach that level called Krishna, it is very, very important that don't run away from suffering. Just accept suffering, make it voluntary. We can't make suffering a friend. It's very difficult. If we know how to make suffering a friend, she's a beautiful girlfriend. She is a very, very nice girlfriend. If you know how to make her a friend, then she's always nice to us. Always nice to us. The thing is that we don't want her. We're always trying to get rid of her. So, if you know how to make suffering a friend, first make her involuntary. Then a state will come where there will be conscious suffering. This whole universe, we think it is something which is past tense, that it was some Big Bang theory happened, and this is not how the Hindus see it. The Eastern mind does not see it in this way. They say every moment it is being born from the womb of the mother. Not a moment goes by. Harshane, teni utpatti thai rahi chhe, mana garbhmati. So it is not something like science says that it happened at one point in time and space. So what they say, it is something which is every moment. And je Gayatri mana garbhmati, je a srushti utpatti harshane thai chhe. Every moment it is being born from the womb of Mother Gayatri, and she's suffering to give birth because labor involves suffering, it involves pain. There are no divine injections to get rid of the pain. Right? So, but as long as we have our personal suffering, this happened to me and that happened to me and she did this to me and he did that to me and my money went away and he is better than me and I learned more and how can he be better than me and all that. As long as we have our personal suffering, we cannot have her suffering. But once we can get rid of our personal suffering, we are free of personal suffering, then we can partake of her suffering. And that is the essence of Gayatri Mantra. That in giving birth to these three universes, every moment you are suffering. Make me a partner in your suffering. And she wants partners. She wants people to partake of her suffering. But as long as we are personally suffering, we cannot take part in it. So make all suffering from involuntary to voluntary. So, consciousness, the source of attention, when it enters Ashtada Prakruti, the eight form Prakruti, in the body, the doors of the jail open automatically. And this will happen for all of us when we reach that inner level called Krishna. The doors of the jail will open automatically. Cannot be kept in a jail. No laws apply to consciousness. So it cannot be held in a jail. Now, who do we compare Krishna with? Whom can we compare Krishna with? So, we can compare him with Bhishma. Bhishma was also the eighth child. Krishna was also the eighth child. How was Bhishma born? How was Bhishma born? It is said that the 8 Vasus, they went on a picnic. And on that picnic, they went into very near Vashishta's ashram. And this sage Vashisht had this divine cow. And they saw the divine cow, and one of the Vasus, his wife, she said, I want this cow. The other Vasus told her that don't force us to take this cow. This sage who owns this cow, he is very, very powerful. So don't force us to take this cow. So she says, no, I want this cow. So they stole Vasisht's cow. And they were taking it away. Vasisht came back to his ashram and he saw that my cow has gone. He divined what had happened and he cursed them to be born as human beings. So they didn't want to be born as human beings, so they looked for a mother and they found that Ganga had been cursed to be born on the earth. So they went to Ganga and they asked her that, will you give birth to us? And the minute you give birth to us, drown us in the river so that we come back to our original form. Why? Because we don't want the suffering of a human body. We don't want the suffering. So she agreed. Ganga marries Santanu. That also is a very long story of why Ganga marries Santanu. It goes right back to Santanu's father, the king Pratap. Anyway, she then drowns 7 children. And the 8th one, she could not drown because Shantanu asked her that, what are you doing? You have drowned 7 of my children. I won't allow you to drown the 8th one. And so Bhishma Bhishma was the one who had taken the cow. So, you see, here Krishna was born by accepting suffering. The Vasus wanted, after being born, they wanted to die immediately so that they could be free of suffering. You see the difference between Bhishma and both were the 8th children. Both were the 8th children. And this 8 is very, very important. 8 Prakruti. Maybe next year we will study the law of octaves, what it means. Because everything in our life is governed by this law. The law of 3 and the law of 8. So 8 is again the law of octaves. Right? So it's very important. So it's symbolic that on the birth of Krishna, the doors of the jail opened automatically. And if you see in the case of Bhishma, he took a vow. He took a vow to serve the king. And he lived in the jail of this vow throughout his life. So one person on being born is freed from jail, and one person, he lives his whole life in jail. Both were the 8 children. All Bhishma's energies, his whole life went in protecting that vow he had made, his pratigya, the vow he had made. He had to protect it. So it is in our hands. We both were 8 children, and these are 2 points in us. We have these 5 senses, the eye, the mind, and the intelligence. This 8 we have with us. What do we do with it? How do we use these? The choice is ours. If we go through voluntary suffering, then we will rise to a level called Krishna. But if we run away from suffering, and voluntary suffering should not make us dead, it should make us more alive. So, if we run away from suffering, then we only make our ego more powerful. Now, Mathura is on the banks of the Yamuna. Bhishma was Ganga's son. See the difference? Ganga is the source of Gyan, knowledge, Gyan. Yamuna is the source of Bhakti, the source of Bhakti. Now, can Gyan and Bhakti go together? Gyan and Bhakti साथे चल सके? If we just do Bhakti, Kirtan all the time, without knowledge of what we are doing, it's useless. Most of the bhajans and kirtans we are doing is nothing but hysteria. There's just no science behind it at all. There's no science behind it. Gyan and Bhakti have to meet. It is only then that Saraswati is created, the third is created. And Saraswati means Vani. So, Gyan and Bhakti must meet. In the old days, the Bhakti was not just Bhakti, it was Bhakti Yoga. We try to understand the evolution of Bhakti in the Indian firmament. It was these Sufis who came into India before the time of the Mughals. The Sufis came into India, and Sufis are older than Islam. They are much older than Islam, but they took on Islam to escape from persecution. And they brought this form of worship of the divine, where the divine is the lover and we are worshipping him in the form of love. It was the Sufis who brought this into India. It was not there in the Vedic Parampara. In the Vedic Parampara there was Bhakti, but that was Bhakti Yoga, not Bhakti as we are doing it. In the movements of Bhakti, especially in the Vaishnava cults, in the movements of Bhakti, there was a science involved, that I take 1 step forward, 2 steps backward, and in that I chant the name of Krishna, and in that taking of the steps I'm moving my chakras, Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, and suddenly moving the Kundalini energy. That science is lost. You see? And the form which we are doing, it came with the Sufis, because they used to worship, and then it became a Bhakti movement for nearly 300-400 years in India, which gave rise to the very great Bhakti saints, Meera and Kabir and all of them. Right? But the original Bhakti which was there was not this form, it was a scientific form. So Jnana and Bhakti must move together. If Bhakti moves without Jnana, then it will just be it won't lead to anything. And if Gyan moves without Bhakti, then it will just be a haughty knowledge. Right? I'll be just full of haughty knowledge. Then to come back to the ground, I need Bhakti, and they must move together. And the result is Saraswati. Saraswati means Vani, my speech. Vani. My speech tells everything, where I am, what I am, Usu Chu, the tone of voice. Many of us have a haughty tone. Many of us have a very tragic tone. We love to talk, घरे मेहमान आएगा हमारे पास नाना छोकरा or young children, and maybe I don't know if they come with 1 or 2 dogs or anything, I don't know. Some guests come to our house and they stay for a week, and the children, I mean, potty anywhere or whatever, and then the dogs and this and that. At the end of the week we are tired, of course. And then we talk to a friend, and then we tell that friend of all the troubles we have gone through. These 5 guests with their children and dogs and all, they came to my house. And that tone is a tragic tone. This tragic tone is killing us. It's killing us. It's a very subtle form of ego, tragedy. And many of us have a very tragic tone. It's good to get a free meal somewhere. If I come to Cape Town, I have to get a free meal every day at someone's house. So it's good to get a free meal somewhere. But try to rise above these tragic tones. It is not bhakti. It is not bhakti. And all the bhajans we are singing are in tragic tones. Don't sing them in tragic tones. So Saraswati means Vani, speech. She is the daughter of Brahma. And it's a very, very funny story that how Brahma wanted a daughter, and he created Saraswati from his own luster. From his own luster he created Saraswati. And then when he created her, he looked at her and he fell in love with her. And he wanted to marry her, so he marries his own daughter. And this is the beauty of it. Brahma is the expanding consciousness. And this is his creation. It is his creation. And it is because he is fallen in love with this creation that we can talk of benevolence, of grace. Because he is fallen in love with his own creation. And in all forms of art, the artist falls in love with his own creation. And that is the beauty of art. So I was with Ramdullah and Bapu for 7 years. One day somebody asked him, what is bhakti? And he said, Vyavar Shuddhi is bhakti. How do I relate to you? If I can't relate to you in a proper way, if I have to bring my ego into everything that I do in relating to you, what is the point in coming to a temple and praying? So, how do I relate? It is my relationships which mirror what I am inside. So that is why Saraswati. So Gyan plus Agra, Gyan plus aggressiveness equal to Bhishma, the ego, and that is knowledge plus aggressiveness equal to Bhishma, the ego, knowledge, Gyan plus Bhakti equal to Krishna. And this is what we want to achieve. I won't talk about Gayatri today because day after tomorrow we'll be taking the Gayatri. So in every event of life, every event of our lives, whatever comes in front of us, the choice is ours. Knowledge plus aggressiveness or knowledge plus bhakti. And bhakti is surrender. Knowledge plus surrender. Right? Patanjali has a beautiful sutra, Tapa Swadhyaya Ishwar Pranidhanatva Kriya Yoga. Patanjali does not talk about Karma Yoga. Krishna talks about Karma Yoga. Patanjali does not talk about Karma Yoga. He says Kriya Yoga. to do action without sowing the seed of action. But Krishna is talking about how to be free of the seed of action. He said, if you are free of the fruit of the action, then you are free of the seed. You stop sowing the seed. But here he is saying your actions are without sowing the seeds. He calls it as Kriya Yoga, Tapa, voluntary suffering, Swadhyaya, self-study, in that voluntary suffering, self-study. And I am doing this. Just dissolve it. Dissolve the I which is doing sadhana, the I which is, dissolve it. Tapa Swadhyaya, Ishwar Pranidhana. Give it to Ishwar. Kriya Yoga. So, Jnana and Bhakti. What is Jnana? What is Jnana? Jnana is not information. We take information, that I have a lot of information. That is not Jnana. Jnana is Yukti. What Yukti? Yukti means technique. So, in every moment of life, there is a technique, and that technique allows the ego to dissolve. So, a yukti je har shade ahamne ugade. Enu naam Jnana. So Jnana is not of the Gita, oh I know the Gita and I know this and I know that. Jnana is not that. Every moment what leads to dissolving the ego, every moment what leads to dissolution of the ego is Jnana, knowledge, and moving on that path is Bhakti. Right? The milan of Ganga and Yamuna, the two rivers. So the doors of the jail open, and Vasudev, he takes the young Krishna in a basket across the river. And the river is in flood. The river is in flood. And you see how in consciousness the five elements are trying to touch the young child. He's sleeping there, but the water wants to touch his feet. The wind wants to come and there's this snake with its hood. He's protecting from the rain which is falling because the river is in flood. And this snake is a symbol of time. It is a symbol of Kundalini, that he has freed himself from time. This child who's come, he is the master of time. We are all slaves of time. So, he's suckling the thumb of his foot, toe. He's suckling his toe. This is the symbol of yin and yang. Get it? Yeah. Self-generating. Our happiness is not self-generating. If I get a new car, I'm happy. Well, I can't say if I get a new wife, I'm happy, but my happiness is always dependent upon something. And here, this child, the storm is raging, the snake is protecting him, his father is escaping from the jail, and the elements are coming to meet him. And he's just suckling his thumb. He's saying that this is self-generating happiness, this circle of happiness. It's self-generating. I suck it, I create it myself, and suck it. What is self-generating in us? Needs no outside cause. What is self-generating in us? Needs no outside cause. Worry, negative imagination. One leads to the other. As if, however tired we are, however down we are, no energy, but when we get into this worrying and brooding that he did this to me and she did that to me, and tomorrow she's going to come with a knife, definitely. Right? It's self-generating. So for us, everything that is self-generating is negativity. And here, there is no source. The source is from within, the happiness is also within. Just Swayambhu, right? Swaraswahi, Patanjali calls this. Swaraswahi Abhiniveshi calls it. This inner desire to exist forever, this inner desire to exist forever. It says, does not need any energy, it exists on its own, it generates its own energy. That's why everywhere we want what we say should be right, what our word should be right, right? Husband is driving, but the wife is directing him. What she says, right, turn left, turn right. There's a cycle of male and female energy. He's free from both male and female energy. He's being taken across the Yamuna. This going across the Yamuna is the symbol of dissolution of the ego. He has no ego, he's moving across. And when the ego dissolves, what is there? Joy. Nandagam. Nanda is joy. So on the dissolution of the ego, crossing the Yamuna, the village which is there is called as Nandagam. And in that Nandagam, there are the gopis. Go means senses, the 5 senses. Pi means to drink. To drink the ras of the 5 senses. I touch the glass, but just the feeling of the glass, hot or cold, to dissolve into that feeling, to drink that feeling, then I become gopi. And when I drink that feeling, there is no this thing that I don't like this glass or I don't like this glass. I drop that. I just touch it, I feel the cold, I dissolve into it, I drink it inside and it gives joy. It's like Nandagam. So Nandagam is not something which is across the banks of the Yamuna, it is within our own psychological country. Every moment of our lives. Do we want to cross the Yamuna? Do we want to dissolve our ego in this moment? Then in the very dissolution of the ego, we are in Nandagam and we are drinking the juice of the senses. This morning, somebody asked me, why are you using the word stealing for consciousness, to steal consciousness from nature, I said. I couldn't tell him that we call Krishna as Makhan Chor, the one who steals the essence of life from every moment. The one who's able to steal the essence of life, every moment, whatever is outside. It could be a happy moment, it could be a sad moment, whatever the event of life. The one who can steal the sattva from that, the Makhan from that is the inner Krishna. It is not what life has brought, but what can I take out of life. It's called Makhan Chor. But that is the Hindu concept of Makhan Chor. So there are gopis and there are gopalas. The one who protects the 5 senses. The one who protects. Why do we need to protect the 5 senses? Why do we need to protect the 5 senses? Because our senses, they are victims of excitement every moment. And the minute I get excited by anything excites me, my attention is seduced outside, I am hypnotized by that whatever event or whatever that beautiful thing I see, I am hypnotized by it, it takes my attention and I'm not now drinking the juice of the senses, the rus of the senses. I'm not drinking the juice. The juice is now being wasted in excitement. That is why every moment we need to protect our senses. So drinking from the senses is gopi, protecting our senses is gopala. And this Nandagam, if we want to stay in that, then we have to do this. So do we waste energy every moment, or do we extract energy from life every moment? Now that remains with us. This dance of the inner self with the 5 senses. The 5 senses in their subtle form are known as 5 tanmatras. These 5 senses, the 5 tanmatras, are run by an energy which are called the 5 pranas. And when this inner self, when it is dancing with this, every moment in life, it could be death, it could be sadness, it could be sickness, it could be accident, it could be even, however negatively, life is cruel. Life has not taken an undertaking to keep us happy all the time. She is not bothered about that. She is very, very cruel. Life. If life wants, she feels that today I need to eat a lot of blood, she'll kill 100,000 people in an earthquake. She's not bothered. Life can be cruel. It is up to us. It is up to us. And if we can move within ourselves, the five senses, the subtle senses, the magnetic impulses with which they work, the energies that make everything work, this inner dance is called as the Ras. The gopis and the inner self. The gopis, the five senses, and the inner self, this inner dance is called as Ras. And Ras is not something we just do in Navratri. It's every moment of our lives we dance this Ras. And as we play this Ras, we extract juice from life, which is Ras, the joy, the elixir of life. Life changes totally. It becomes so beautiful. So beautiful. What can I say? So this process where everything is coming within from our senses and we have an inner presence. That inner presence is the beginning of Krishna. We are there. Are we here right now? Are we here right now? Now, this inner Ras, this taking of Makhan, this Makhan chor, stealing the butter from every moment in life, till now somebody called Kans was taking away. Kans means kampu, to tremble. Kampu. When we did the Hanuman Chalisa, we said Jai Kapis, the one who had victory over trembling, the one who's victory over trembling. We are trembling all the time inside. This inner chatterbox keeps on chattering. We are trembling every moment of our lives. That is Kans. And he's taking away that inner chatterbox. In that chattering is taking away all our energy, all the good energy. He's taking away all the Makhan from Gokul. Goes to Kans as tax. It's his tax. He takes it away. And this inner trembling. Kans also means a vessel which we drink. Drink. That means I'm drunk with my ego. I'm drunk with my haughtiness. Right? Christ says that a rich man will never enter my kingdom of God. What does he mean by rich? He doesn't mean rich with money. He's not talking about that. Rich with our own ego, rich with our haughtiness, our pride. So he's talking about that. And this is the Kans within us. Every moment, stealing everything that is valuable being produced within our system, he's stealing it away as tax. He's taking it away. And we have to take it back from him. And suddenly, this inner Kansa, at one point, he knows that he's not getting proper tax. He knows. So he thinks there's something wrong somewhere. Right? So he sends somebody to kill Krishna. He says that there's definitely something wrong. That guy called Krishna must have been born in Gokul. Let me send some demon to kill him. How does he know? How does the inner ego know that something is wrong? How will he know? First of all, the trembling will start calming. Now the inner chatter will start calming. Now what else? With that calming down, we will not be getting upset, we will not be getting irritated, we will not be getting angry. But there'll be something else. Till now I had so many desires. I thought, oh, in this life I'm going to do this, and in this life I'm going to do this. Now, just when we understand desires, just try to place desires in the proper context. Right? I may, when I say I'm 50, I'll be 57 this year. So, I may say that at 57, I don't have desire for this, I don't have desire for this. Right? Now, maybe when I was 20, I had desire for this, I had desire for that. So, I'll say I'm free of desire. Or does it mean that because of age, those desires have just gone deeper into the subconscious mind? Can you understand what I'm trying to say? It does not mean that we are free of desire just because of age and wisdom. No. It does not mean that. Right? They've just gone deeper into the... Because we know now there is no point in having those desires. That does not mean we are free of them. Right? And especially when somebody talks about it, right, I am free of this desire, then I know he's never free of it. Right? So, it's a kind of, what do you call, consolation prize we have with our desires. In spirituality, there is no consolation prize, there is only one prize, the first prize. So, we come to terms with them. We come to terms with them. At this age, how can I have those kind of desires? Right? So, at one point, the inner ego, at one point, the inner ego will realize that the desires are becoming weak. And this is the time where we have to be very careful, because many things will start coming out of the unconscious mind, and now they will start coming out of the unconscious mind. So he sends his nurse, name of the nurse is Puttana. Name of the nurse is Puttana, to kill Krishna. And she applies poison to her breast, so she's going to suckle the young child and kill him. She has already killed how many? See how symbolic all this is. The way the rishis are such scientists, they put everything in such a symbolic way. She has already killed 7. Krishna is the 8th. Children are born, they are innocent. But we make them slaves of desire. You have to earn, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this. We make them slaves of desire. So, Pu means 2 things. Now, this is again a very funny thing in Sanskrit, that there are so many words in Sanskrit which have contradictory meanings. And this is the beauty of the Sanskrit language. So, Pu means purification, and Pu means purgatory also. Suffering. Purgatory is voluntary suffering. Voluntary suffering. And through suffering there is purification. Through suffering there is purification. How much poison can we take? Krishna takes this poison. She applies poison to the breast. He suckles it. How much poison can we take? How much poison can we take? Once somebody asked you a question, that how do we know what level we have risen to inside? I said, everything is okay, but how much of other people's negativity can you take? Supposing I call you all kinds of things. Till what level? And not forcing yourself. Transforming what nonsense I am saying, what poison I am throwing on you, either through criticism or through any kind of language, or through I may be saying things about your family or children or whatever, or I may be saying things about your job or how, or I may be even saying things about your guru or even about your God or whatever, your religion, your race. How much can we digest inside and turn it into amrit, turn it into nectar inside? Even a little bit of criticism upsets us. A little bit of criticism. Now he's talking about taking poison and turning it around. Little bit somebody says about our guru, or somebody says about our God, or somebody burns one. Somebody said that they banned the Gita in Russia. The whole Indian government will get up. They don't see the Gita as a book. If it's written here, it will come to whoever has to. In the midst of the revolution in Russia, there was this group with Gurdjieff, and how he passed on this divine knowledge to this group in the middle of the worst form of political situation. We can't imagine what they went through. And this group of disciples, and they would see the red army is coming, they would wear a red badge, and they would see the white army is coming, and they would wear a white badge. And it is through all these hardships that they used to stop at places, and the minute they would stop, the next day the exercises would start, and the meditations would start, and all the talking, the passing on of the knowledge would start. Again, they would walk somewhere, move, and there were so many different armies, so many factions, and they went through these mountains, through different places. What a story it is, and how he passed on this knowledge to that group of disciples, and they came out of Russia. It's nothing to do with the political situation. You're still able to do it. Right? So, how much can we take? How much of negativity can we take? And to live with a guru is very difficult. Very, very difficult. Guru is fire. It's just fire. And he just kills the ego. He'll say anything. He'll say anything. I've seen the guru telling and this young girl, she's on the verge of achieving something inside. Right? The guru wants to kill her ego. And I've seen this guru in front of 50 people telling him, I have seen you have slept with so many men, you have done this. I know he's lying. But he's lying because if that ego breaks at that point, she goes into another realm altogether. So, but we can't take a little bit of criticism. So he's saying, Putana, she applied poison to the breast and she suckled him, but nothing, there was no way poison could reach him. We use the word Vikrama Bajrangi. Mahavira Vikrama Bajrangi. Bajrang, what is the meaning of the word Bajrangi? The one who cannot be penetrated. The one which cannot be penetrated. But we are penetrated all the time. Rise above that. So Pupu means purgatory, to refine, to change the lower into the higher. And the lower came in the form of Putana, the poison, and he changed it into the higher. And she experienced Samadhi and she died. She was transformed. In that very suckling, she was transformed. Now, each of our five senses, there is a physical part of the sense and there is a subtle part of the sense. That is, the eyes, they have a physical sense and there is a subtle eye. Similarly with all the other senses. In yoga, Patanjali calls it Ashtanga Yoga. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. In which the in-between state is Pratyahara. Pratyahar is when we are able to detach the physical sense from the subtle sense. Just now they're stuck to each other. Right? I see this beautiful thing. The physical sense sees it, runs behind it, but even the subtle senses are victims of the physical sense. But then I'm able to detach. This inner detachment is called as Pratyahar. Now I can take the ras inside, the ahar inside, psychic ahar. So, now the time has come after refining, after we are refined inside, there is no impurity left inside. Uttana has died to expand the senses. This expansion of the senses, go means senses, expansion means vardhan. Go, vardhan. What does it mean? What is the meaning of go, vardhan? So, I see the glass and I say cold, and cold is a sensitivity, it is not a feeling. You understand what I am trying to say? Now I want to detach. So what do I do? So I say this is, the feeling is of coldness, but I don't like coldness, I like warmth. So cold and like and dislike go together. I can't separate them. Similarly, I may feel the chair is uncomfortable. It's not uncomfortable, but I may feel it is uncomfortable. So I'll say, I don't like uncomfortable. But uncomfortable is a sensitivity. Don't like is a feeling. And both of them are moving together. Now, this person called Indra, Indra means the lord of the senses, the lord of the energy of sensitivity. He is the king. That is why he is the king of Swarga, because the energy of sensitivity takes us to paradise. Sensitivity is the key to paradise. Right? So, he is the king of that, and he rules this energy of sensitivity. So, definitely, we give it to him. And Indra doesn't like anybody coming into his paradise. So, anywhere he sees a person meditating or something, and then he'll send one apsara. And fairy, you just dance in front of him, and he'll open his eyes and he'll go back into excitement. Go back into excitement means he's in the jail of excitement, Narkasur. Jail of excitement, Narkasur. Right? And he's not free from that. But if he comes back into sensitivity, free from excitement, then Indra, who is the sole lord of paradise, then once we are also kings of sensitivity, we become lord of paradise, and he does not like that. But here in this place, he is taking two taxes at the same time. Which two is he taking? He is taking sensitivity, but he is taking emotion also, because emotions and sensitivity are stuck to each other. Cold and don't like. Don't like is the emotion, right? And cold is the sensitivity. He is taking both together. So Krishna said, I will lift the Govardhan Parvat. Govardhan. And he lifts it on his little finger. It means that this expansion of the 10 senses has to be done with minimum effort. Minimum effort. What do the Taoists say? Effortless effort. Patanjali says, I've forgotten, but he says, I've forgotten the sutra, but he talks about one sutra where you can go into it without effort. If I remember, I'll then come back to it. So, it's the time for expansion of our senses, that is separating the physical sense from the subtle sense. And once we have done that, then that free of charge, that tax which Indra was taking will not go to him. And he sends rain, and he lifts this mountain to Govardhan, where whatever Indra does, he may send apsaras, he sends rain, whatever he does. But now, because of this expansion of the senses, it cannot touch us at all. Then there is one snake called Kalia, and he is killing these gopalas on the banks of the Yamuna. And why had Kalia come there? Why had Kalia come to the Yamuna river? Kalindi, another name for Yamuna is Kalindi. Why did he come over there? It's a long story. The story of Garud. We have to go into the story of Garud. And it is the story of Garud's mother Venita, and she had a sister called Kadru, and there was a challenge between them. And in that challenge, Kadru won, so she enslaved her sister called Venita. And when Garud was born, he decided to free his mother. And Kadru's children were the snakes, Venita's children was the eagle, the Garud. And he asked a boon from Vishnu that snakes should be my food. And so he was eating up all the snakes. And this one snake called Kalia, he knew that because of a curse he cannot come to the Yamuna river. So he came to live there and he was creating havoc over there. What is the difference between the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the unconscious mind? Supposing one. Can you see that initially there was just Shiva, the Lord, right? Then Shiva creates a Shakti which makes the universe. And this, see, we use the word Shakti without understanding it is a terrible thing, Shakti. It's unimaginable. It's our whole unconscious mind, the power of Shakti. And she has created this universe. When this snake is on top of Krishna, when Vasudeva is taking him across, we are saying that he has tamed the animal world, he is free of these Shaktis. And the only way to be free of this Shakti, this unconscious mind, this power of the unconscious mind, is to rise in consciousness. Because once the inner Shiva is born, Shakti bows down. But for thousands of years, what we call as culture and civilization has been this whole idea of man trying to tame Shakti. All what we call as culture and civilization is nothing but that this unconscious mind, can it be tamed in some way? And it can be tamed for some time. But the real way is to make it bow down, and that is to give birth to the inner Shiva or the consciousness inside. And she bows down. So this whole taming of Shakti, which is the unconscious mind, is what we call the subconscious mind. Now we've got to be a little authentic over here. See, there's this guy, he's sitting in the parking lot of one mall, and he's sitting in his car, and from the store, from the shop, a beautiful woman comes out with long hair and bangles, all those things, right? Maybe she's wearing goggles, I don't know. Right? And the first thing which comes in his mind is a thought of desire. Right? A thought of desire. Where did this come from? Which mind? The unconscious mind. It's Shakti. Desire. Shakti. Right? Then the woman comes close and suddenly he says, "Arey, she is my sister." She is my sister. The desire is gone. Where did sister come from? Subconscious mind. Now, when we move into self-observation, deep self-observation, and we observe our own self, one of the things we will all have to confront at some time is that because these are body polarities. All of us are both male and female, but that is in our psyche, but there's still a body polarity. And whenever this body sees another female body or a female body sees another male body, the first inner movement of energy is she is female, I am male. She may be even 70 or 80 years old. And this we only see when we move into deeper levels of self-observation. We suddenly see this. And it is this which culture has tried to cover. Education, culture, civilization for thousands of years. This cannot be covered. We can be free of this. We can have freedom, but we cannot cover it by a subconscious mind. So, this Kalya Nag is the unconscious mind. It's come and it's creating havoc on the banks of the Yamuna. And we have to confront our unconscious. Go deep into it, allow things to come on the surface. We can't hold things down because as long as we are holding it in the dark, we cannot see it. We have to allow it to come into the plane of light, which is the conscious mind. And that is why sometimes it worries me when so many religions and so many gurus are saying, see the other as your sister. Why? Teach them to be free. Teach them to be free. Many people come to me, children should not see these kind of films and these kind of... why are you stopping that? Don't create a new subconscious mind. Teach them to rise above it. See them and not be excited by them. That is the real way. All this nonsense when I hear, the other woman is my sister and she is my mother and she is my sister. We're just creating new forms of Maya. When we go deep into ourselves and we see our own unconscious mind, suddenly we'll realize that all this was lying outside. It cannot be covered by painting our faces white or applying powder or whatever. It's not possible. The only way to be free is to rise in consciousness, and at that point, that very Shakti, when she sees what a Shiva is there, she bows down to him. We are free. That is the only way. So this Kalya Nag, the unconscious, and Krishna dances on his hood, and he says, I will go away to another place. Right? Then Kansa sends many demons to kill Krishna. The inner desire has many help. Kansa also means desire, calm, desire. Right? The first is Trunavatasura. That is the Asur who has no form. Aravrata, it means a whirlwind. The demon came in the form of a whirlwind, and it lifts Krishna from the lap of Yashoda up into the sky. But Krishna is able to kill him. So, whirlwind, what happens some things happen very fast. Anger, desire, they suddenly take us in a whirlwind and the idea is to clasp them with the neck inside. Always the center of the whirlwind is always free of the whirlwind. Okay. Vatsasur, pity, daya, self-pity. What is a small child? Vatsasur. Self-pity. I've talked a lot about self-pity, so I won't go into it again, but the lowest rung of the ladder is self-pity. Self-pity. Please, it comes automatically. If she is my sister and I suffer a loss in business and she doesn't even phone me, I will say, look at it, she has so much money, but I have suffered a loss. She's not even phoning me whether I'm getting one meal to eat. Of course, all of you are freed me from self-pity, giving me a meal every day. Self-pity. Self-pity can come in any form. Any form. People sometimes they curse their parents that they did not do for me. I am ill and none of my friends came to meet me. Self-pity comes in so many forms. And it is a different form of vanity. Different form of vanity. I may feel that you must